Hello, thank you for coming back. This is Erica S., and I'm sharing a little bit more about my journey with you today. Today, I just want to go over some things, some little tidbits and things that I had to do in order to get myself ready physically, mentally, and health insurance wise, health insurance-ly, if that was a word, to get myself ready for this procedure. For starters, what I did was research my physician and medical facility that I decided to go to. I think that's very important. Pretty much what I did, I researched weight loss medicine, and I was steered the way by way of Google through to bariatric surgery. And so bariatric surgeons came up, bariatric facilities came up, and I researched everyone. I researched, I looked in terms of location, who was closer to me. And in terms of who was closer, I looked up the doctors and their records. I went through each doctor to see what their success rate was, and I chose the one that had the best success rate. After that, I made my appointment to see him, and I made my appointment to see my physician to talk to him about the surgery, just in case he would give me some insight and on other alternatives. I have a very good primary care physician, and so I do trust his position on a lot of things that he has suggested to me. And so after knowing my relationship that I have with my doctor and knowing what he has said about other things in the past regarding my weight loss ideas, and what he said about bariatric surgery, I feel comfortable with it. Pretty much, he told me at the end of the day, the most we would be worried about is not losing weight. So I'm like, okay, cool. As long as we're not worried about dying, then, me not losing the weight, I can live with that. The next thing I did after going to my appointment, of course, you talk to the doctor. They're going to give you a packet that's going to have a list of things to do. For my list, where what I was, according to my insurance, the very first thing I had to make sure I gathered up was diets. What other diet, exercise program, whatever I did regarding losing weight, I had to gather that up, write it down, go as far as to write down the date of when I did it, write down if it was successful, how much weight I lost, how much weight I was able to maintain in terms of losing, how much weight did I gain back, how long did it take me to gain back. I had to literally dig deep back to every single diet I have done since. I just took it back as far as like being in college. That's a little ways ago, but I had took it back to college, and that was kind of hard. It's hard because you don't necessarily keep that information like banked up. You don't take note of it in general, I don't know anyone who does, but when you do a diet, at that moment, of course, you're thinking of how long you're going to do it. Yes, at that time, within a year or even 2 years, how long you did it, how long it lasted. But then when you go 10, 15 years later, that's hard to keep up with. So I thought of everything that I could possibly think of, including diet pills that I might have taken. I put it down on the list so that they can see, okay, this person has tried. And with all of this person's trials of trying how to lose weight, they have lost, but in every single case for me, and that's what they want to see, they failed. So what it looks like the best option for them is this surgery. Now that is for your insurance company, so that the insurance can see, okay, yes, they've done all this and that, and in the meantime it didn't work, so it looks like this is the best option. Because you have to have proof. If it's not enough proof that you've tried, the insurance company will most likely deny you. That's an expensive surgery. They're not going to be so willing to shell out those dollars to have it covered. They're not going to do that. It's the insurance companies. So I had to make sure I did that. And I dug deep. I was able to find like 5 different things. And we all know we've probably tried almost everything, way more than 5. But sometimes, like I said, it's kind of hard to remember everything that you've done. Next, I watched some videos. I watched some videos concerning the different kinds of surgery, just so I could really make sure I knew what surgery I wanted. I looked at the bypass, which is, I think it's the duodenal switch. I don't want to say the wrong term, so please don't quote me on this. Again, I want to say that I'm not a medical profession. I'm just sharing my experiences. And then, of course, there's the sleeve, and then there's the lap band. The first thing I really thought of in the beginning was the lap band. However, I know some people who had some complications, and it was just too many. For me, if I have 3 people that I know that had a lap band, and those 3 people each had issues concerning the lap band, then for me, that means that out of my survey of 3 people, 100% of them had trouble. And so because of my 100% in my survey, I pretty much said, you know what, I'm going to go without the lap band. Especially they all had it at the same place. Everything was the same. So I decided not to go with the lap band. And also, this is personal. I'm just saying personal. If you feel as though the lap band's good for me, good for you, that's great. But I'm saying for me, I didn't want to go that route. And I do know that in my last appointment, which is the week before surgery appointment, one of the people that was there with me, they were actually getting the lap band removed to get the sleeve. So that's one thing. I don't want so many surgeries. I'm not, feeling that. So that's not my thing. So I kind of ditched that. I looked at the bypass, the duodenal switch thing, and it seemed a little extreme for me. And what I mean by extreme, like the fact that you have to take your bariatric vitamins on a regular basis. Now, take it. I do take vitamins now. I try to make sure I take them but I forget. I'm one of those people who, and Lord, this is terrible, but it's true. I even have blood pressure medication, and every time it's time for me to refill it, mind you, you're talking about 90 days at a time. Every time it is time for me to refill it, I have about 20 or so pills still left in my bottles, which means I'm not taking them consistently. Not a good thing. Never recommend it for anybody. Nonetheless, it's something that I do. And I don't want that risk of me not taking those things on a regular basis run into some deficiency that's very, very harmful. So, gastric sleeve. Food is still digesting the same way. You take a regular vitamin like you would any other vitamin. And yes, you still are supposed to take vitamins, period. But at least I know that it will the results of me not taking them will probably be similar to the results of me not taking them now. It's not anything that's like seriously detrimental. If I forget 1 or 2 or like a week's worth in a month, I'm not going to die. So, or I won't run the risk of going to the hospital. I'm not saying time. I won't run the risk of going to the hospital. And that's the thing. That's what I want. And that seemed better for me. And the fact that my food, the minerals and the vitamins in the food that I eat would still be absorbed through my digestive system. That's the more natural flow, even if my stomach is cut down to a third of its size. A little slither, like the size of a little banana. It's I feel for me, it's better because it's still running its course the way it is naturally designed to do. Then after that, I got my appointment list. Back to that appointment list. Because I had so many things to do on the list, like I had to see a dietitian twice. So I had to create 2 dietitian visits. And they had to be broken off in like 2 different months. So I could see her month apart. But they explained 3 weeks but put it this way, 2 dietitian visits in two consecutive months. So October and November, you need to have your dietitian visits, or December and January. However, two and they're 30 days apart, or at least 3 weeks apart. Then you also have to see a psychologist. I'm assuming that they want to make sure you're like in your right mind, or not looking at any unrealistic results in regards to your surgery. Like, you don't have any unrealistic ideas of what this is supposed to be. So they check you out. And yes, I've known of, not any people personally, but I've known of people who've gotten denied based on them not doing well with their psychiatric evaluation. So they do that. And of course you have to get like an EKG, because you got to make sure your heart is good. And then you have to get blood work. You got to see your physician again, because he has to sign off on your paperwork in order to get the surgery. And again, for me, I already went to him, so he already knew what was happening. And so when it came time to sign the paper, it was just like, passing on signatures, because we already had this conversation. So it was just a matter of him just signing the paperwork. But yeah, you're going to have to see your physician again, and make sure you have everything. After you do all of those things, you can make your appointment. Now you got your appointment. Now you on the road. It's closer. It's almost tangible. I made my appointment, and then after I made my appointment, there was one last thing that I had to do, which was the bariatric boot camp. Now that boot camp was very, very important. It gave you everything you needed to do to prepare yourself for the surgery coming, to make sure there was going to be no complications. So there is a extensive to-do list that you have to follow, even down to where I'm at, the hospital that I'm going to. They are trying they're trying this program to decrease any form of complications. So we were given like a amino acid protein to add to a Gatorade drink that you start drinking 5 days before your surgery, and that is supposed to increase the chances of your wounds healing. We're given like a cleanse, a scrub to start washing your skin with 2 days before your surgery. So we're given all these little things and instructions to do to make sure we have a really good recovery. And so we're following those steps. You're also given a calendar, like a step-by-step calendar, what to eat, what not to eat. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, when you go to make your appointments, I know I'm all over the place, but when you go to make those appointments that your doctor gives you with the dietitian and the blood work, I would suggest making all of your appointments at once. This way it could be over and done with. So what I'm saying is, don't get your blood work, wait for your blood work, and then go get your EKG. And then wait for that, and then go get this. And then wait. Make it all at once. It doesn't harm anything. You're just getting it done. And it was one more test. We had to have it was like a upper GI tract test. So I had to get that too. Make it all at once. When you make it all at once, you get it over and done with. The faster you can get your surgeries, the faster you can be better on your road to wellness. So just do everything at once. And then after that, I guess right now I'm at the point where I'm waiting. I'm just waiting. So again, my surgery is on Wednesday. Next thing I want to talk to you guys about are some concerns that I have before my surgery, because of course this is surgery, and it's big surgery. I've had 2 C-sections, and from what I'm hearing, if you have a C-section, this is like a walk in the park. Okay, yeah, that's nice. But me having my C-sections was still like, I had some concerns. Even when I knew about the second one, it's funny when you plan your child's birth. Like, okay, I want to have him on this day, and then you're coming in for your appointment. I'm here to have my baby. Hi. That's pretty much how it went. So I kind of feel like it's that same kind of feeling where I know what it is. I know, It's not bad. I know it's actually something that's going to be good coming out of it, but I'm still a little bit, I have some concerns because, it's surgery. It is what it is. So until next time, I'm going to break this video up into parts, so I'll be putting up the next one about concerns. I didn't want it to be so long, so I figured I'd chop it up a bit because I have a tendency to talk a lot. All right, thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.